How's it going, guys? In the early days of my football manager journey, I used to have a lot of difficulty understanding what tactical changes or tweaks I need to make to increase my chances of winning in upcoming games. In this video, I'm going to go through how I approach each game, how I review my scout reports, and what tweaks I tend to make depending on what I'm coming up against.
Guardiola's quite animated too.
I'd like to preface this video by outlining that you can have the best tactical setup, you can have perfect game preparation, and you can still lose. There's no YouTube video, there's no guide, there's no perfect plug and play tactics that you can use that will guarantee you win 100% of the time. Football Manager is based on probability, and every action you take during your managerial career either increases or decreases this probability. So it's not just down to your tactical setup, it's also down to your training, it's down to your player interactions. Even your press conferences have an impact on morale, which as a result impact your games. So here is my Southampton save, where I'm running Southampton in the vision of Ruben Amorim. Now, one of the standout points at Ruben Amorim is that he sticks to his system no matter what the players he has, and he tries to adjust them to fit into said system. Now, as you can see, we have the 3-4-2-1 that Amorim plays with the two narrow cams as opposed to the wide players, two holding CDMs with one of them slightly pushing forward depending on who you're playing against, and then the two fullbacks, three centre-backs, all pretty standard to Ruben Amorim if you've seen him play. Now, the key to making adjustments to your team for an upcoming fixture is knowing what your team are good at and what they're bad at. For my team, this is going to be different for yours, but for my team, we're very vulnerable on the flank, so we do allow a lot of crosses into the box. However, we do compress the centre of the pitch. So if I go into my tactics here, you see I play a mid-block and a high line, so we really want to compress that centre part of the pitch, and we also go with very, very narrow. So if we lose the ball, our players are already positioned quite central, so if a team's going to counter-attack against us, we're kind of forcing them down the flanks. That being said, we also lack a lot of height in our centre-backs. Now, this is my second season, so I did bring Lascelles in. He's actually only a backup, but my main guy, Bella Kotchap, is injured, so Lascelles will be starting against Arsenal, and he does have jumping reach of 15, but outside that, we are struggling for height. As you can see, Dardai, 13, and I think Bednarak is 14. There we go. So if they have a big striker, we're going to run into trouble, especially if it's a team that like to play a lot of crosses. We don't deal with crosses very well, and set pieces are also an issue for height. Now, last season, we did have Onuachu up front, who has 20 jumping, this bio here, but we've replaced him with Evan Ferguson because Onuachu just isn't fast enough for what we're looking to play. So when we're playing a mid-block, we do like to counter a lot. That's where most of our goals come from, especially with Suleimani, who's a lot of pace here. He's one of our best players, especially in the transition when we're trying to score. So ideally, what we look to do, set up in the mid-block, let the teams come on to us, win the ball back in the midfield. We don't win it high up, hit the flanks and counter-attack. If we're kind of a more dominant team, we look to build up from the back, whereby goalkeeper will play to the centre-backs, centre-backs will look to a CDM to the wide players. I look for a bit of interchange between the full-backs and the cams, again looking to get across, and our primary focus is to get crosses into the box. We don't look for through balls as much, but that's basically our plan. So our strengths, we're very tight in the centre, our defence is solid when the ball is coming through the centre. However, when teams like to play down the wings, we do struggle a little bit. In terms of our strengths, we've got a lot of pace up top with Suleimani, so good for counter-attacks, especially in wide areas, and our full-backs are also very rapid for getting up and down the flanks. For the upcoming game, we're playing Arsenal away, so we're not expecting any magical results. So my first step, we go to Data Hub, next opposition, and then we'll just go into overview for starters. Now this will give me their formation and also the roles they play in, which is very important. We can see they almost play with a front three, so Martinelli's going to come in here and Saka's also coming here, but Jesus is going to drop into the cam position. That's quite important because what will happen is if I don't pay attention to this, Jesus drops, my middle centre back's going to follow him, and then these two boys will run into the centre and have plenty of space. So that's something I need to make a mental note of and make adjustments to deal with that. The next thing I want to look for is who's going to be breaking from midfield, who's going to be running into the box. Now, Odegaard's playing as an advanced playmaker, so he's not going to go into the box. He's going to float around in kind of the half space, pick up the ball and look to play the passes, and pretty much what he does in real life. Declan Rice is going to be the box crasher, so we're going to have to keep an eye on that, make sure we're dealing with that. At the back, they're going to build up with a 2. So some teams build up with a 3, other teams build up with a 2. These guys build up with a 2, and Zinchenko and who have we got here? Ben White, both of these are going to come in narrow, so they're really congesting that centre part of the pitch. So for me, at first glance, what I'm going to look to do, the adjustments I will make, for Gabriel coming deep, I'm probably going to turn off the tight marking on Gabriel so that we don't follow him in here. I have two CDMs who are quite solid and they both sit here, so if he drops in, that's fine. He's not going to cause too many problems. Odegaard moving into this area again, I have two CDMs. He'll still cause problems because he's their best player, so I'll probably have to do some individual instructions, but in general I won't have to change my tactics too much. And then in terms of how we can break against them, so Party's going to drop into the middle here, so they're going to be quite solid centrally. So what we're going to do is we're going to look to get down the flanks, especially Ben White tucking inside into transition. We can catch him out of position, and we've got lots of pace on the wing. So here we are, match day. I'll hit next match only, so any changes I make won't be permanent. Now, first of all, as we said, we wanted to exploit the wings. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play Sulemana as a left winger, and I'm going to change Wellington to an inverted wing back instead. So that means when we win the ball back, Sulemana is going to be in prime position to get that quick direct ball over the top. In behind, Ben White should be over here, but he'll have tucked inside. So we look to exploit that. Sulemana uses pace, get the cross in, Evan Ferguson, bosh. On the other side, I'm going to keep Dolan here because even though they're congesting the middle, I do need to give them someone to mark. Because if there's no one there, they'll probably drift out and they'll be able to pick up Sulemana. So I'm going to keep Dolan narrow here. And Sugawara is going to be my outlet on the right hand side. In terms of the transition, Sugawara won't really be far enough up. However, if we get sustained possession, which is doubtful away against Arsenal, but if we do, Sugawara will then become an option. Our two CDMs holding in the centre, we have to keep them there because remember Odegaard's coming in from deep. We have Declan Rice who's box crashing, and we also have Jesus who's going to drop in as well. So this is going to be a tough little area. Hinchelwood and Downs are going to have to perform. And in the backline, I'm happy enough with that. The only issue I have maybe is with speed. So with Saka and Martinelli coming in from the flanks, we could be lacking pace here, especially with Lascelles. But I don't have other options, so we just have to make do. I could drop the line a little bit when I'm watching the game. If I see they're getting in behind me very regularly, I can make adjustments to my line. But so far, the only changes I'll make, Suleiman out to the wing, and in possession, we're going to turn off these overlaps. We're going to focus on the flanks. There's no point going through the middle. They've got too much going on there, and we're going to go a little bit wider. And that's pretty much it. That's the changes I'll make in terms of my tactics. Opposition instructions. Remember, Gabriel's dropping deep. I don't want to follow him. I have my CDMs there. Now, there would be situations where you would follow him, but for my tactical setup, we're not going to follow him, and we're not going to press him. So if he picks it up here, that's fine. Saka, we want to keep him wide. Martinelli, we want to keep him wide. Again, we don't want to go in tight on these guys because they're good dribblers, very good dribblers. They're inside forward, so they're not going to be trying to set up passes. They want to get the ball, run and shoot. That's all they're doing. They're not creating. Declan Rice, he's going to be making those runs from deep. We need to make sure we're tracking it. And then Odegaard is the key man, obviously. Keep man as a weaker foot, kick him. Whatever you need to do. If we stop Odegaard, we've a good chance. As I said, we're playing a mid-block. Partey's going to drop in here between the two centre-backs. So we don't want to press him. We don't want to press these centre-backs. What I want to do is stop the ball going into the middle. So by telling your team not to press the centre-backs, it means your striker, your cams, they're going to drop a little bit deeper, and instead they're going to focus on cutting those passing lanes. If I have my cams pressing their back line, they'll just get passed around. There'll be loads of space in the middle. That's not what we want. We might have to press these. We'll see how it goes. But that's our setup. That's how we're going to face Arsenal. Fingers crossed, we get a result. I'm going to have it on extended highlights so you can see exactly what's happening in the game. Now, so this is our first highlight of the game. Let's see how the build up. Oh, Lascelles got caught. Okay, that was a bad start. Now, straight away, I should have known I should have Lascelles not on ball playing centre back because he does have the stats for ball playing centre backs. We've adjusted that straight away. Thank God we got that highlight and didn't concede a goal. Okay, we lost the ball sloppily in the midfield. There's Odegaard being pressed. Rice tightly marked. I don't like how my RCB stepped up there. That's fine. Well defended, no issue. The only problem there was how we lost the ball, but let's see how we go. We have a set piece. We're not good at set pieces. Yeah. Set pieces is not something we've addressed yet. As we can see here from this highlight, Arsenal are trying to get it through the middle. They can't. Force that wide to Martinelli. There's Declan Rice crashing the box. He's closed down, no problem. So that's the first half over and done with. Now it may seem like Arsenal are dominating, and they are, but they haven't created a whole lot. As you can see here, they have 8 shots, only 1 on target, 0.85 XG. Not too concerned. The only problem I have is that we're not really creating anything for ourselves. So we're going to make a little adjustment here. We're going to play a little bit more direct. I'll turn off that overlap. That shouldn't be on. We should be playing down both wings. And we're going to go for low crosses. Now we are losing in the middle of a little bit. I need to invert Wellington. For some reason, that's gone back to a wing back. So we have extra bodies in the middle now. And we're also playing more direct. So hopefully we should be able to create a little bit more while keeping our defensive stability. let's see what Arsenal do here. We've held up pretty well for the first 60 minutes. They brought Tomiyasu on. Oh, he's lost it. Oh. Okay. Less said about that, the better. Set piece. I feel like a set piece is the only way we're losing this. Uh-oh. Yeah. That was the only way they were going to score, because that's a big weakness of our team. Now we've gotten a goal down. We need to make adjustments. Normally I wouldn't have a knee-jerk reaction, but we're in the 70th minute. We need to start making more risks now. So what we're going to do is we're going to change to attacking, and I'm also going to push a midfielder forward. Now, Downs hasn't been playing particularly well, so I'm going to take him off, bring on Yates, and I'm going to play him as a Segundo Volante on attack. I'm going to move Dolan out a bit wider, because remember I said this is quite compressed. Normally you want someone there for players to mark, but Yates is pushing forward now, so we can move Dolan out wide, and I'm going to bring on Tyler Dibbling. Now, let's see if we can create something from here. Here's the transition. Let's see if we can make something. There's that space on the left-hand side, but Suleimani had to come deep. There's Yates pushing forward. Oof. It's a chance. A half chance. I'm going to make one more change here. 10 minutes left. Suleimani is a bit tired. Idoze is quite quick. You can't do much else, but he is rapid. So he'll kind of continue the philosophy we had. And Evan Ferguson, we're going to bring on the big man. And the reason for this is we're not going to play it out short anymore. We're going to go a little bit longer, and I meant to put in floated crosses as well. Nope, sadly not the result we were looking for. Declan Rice was a little too good for us, and obviously when we went to goal down, we pushed our midfielder forward. That gave Declan Rice even more space. Sometimes you're just against better players and you can't win no matter what you do. I'm quite happy with the performance, so we didn't concede a whole load of goals away against Arsenal. We restricted them to only 2 shots on target, 0.97 XG. We didn't really create much. Our game plan for the counter-attack didn't come off. That's going to happen sometimes. You'll have a plan in your head, this is what I want to do. Sometimes it'll work, sometimes it won't. That's the joys of football. Thanks for watching. I hope it was somewhat useful and gave you some insight into how I approach my games, and maybe you can implement some of the strategies I take into your own games. For the YouTube video, it would have been nice to have a win to say, hey, look, my approach works. But trust me, it does work. Losing 1-0 against Arsenal, that could happen to any team. As I said, I'm happy with the team's performance. It turned out okay. But again, thank you for watching, guys. I really do appreciate it. If you have any questions, please put them down in the comments below. If you don't have a question, please leave an emoji or some sort of comment just to feed the algorithm and help me along. Have a good evening, guys. Take care.